In this lecture, we are going to discuss on the numerical solution of system of linear algebraic equations. So initially, we'll start with some very basic concepts of how to analyze a particular system of algebraic equations. So we'll discuss about the rank and how this rank is so important in finding out the nature of the system of linear algebraic equation regarding the solution of that. So what we have done, we have taken a very simple example. As you can see here, we have taken two equations. As you can see here, x plus 2y is equal to 1. This is one equation. And another one, x minus y is equal to 4. So we want to see these two equations if we just simply plot on a graph. As you can see, x plus 2y is equal to 1 shown in a blue colored graph, and x minus y is equal to 4. This is this particular straight line. Now it is clear from the graph that there is an unique solution that is exist for this set of equation, and that unique solution is the intersection of these two straight line, right? But looking at the equations without drawing the graph, how can we identify that whether unique solution is exist or there is no solution or maybe multiple solutions are there? So for that, let us try to write this equation in the matrix form. So how can we write the equation in the matrix form? The technique is that you write it in this form. You write a coefficient matrix first. So what is the coefficient of the first equation of x and y? So here you can see the variable set is x and y. These are the variable. And the coefficients of the first equation is 1 and 2. So 1 and 2. And that is equal to what? You see that x plus 2y, if you multiply matrix multiplication 1 into x plus 2 into y, so the first equation that is equal to 1. So this is equal to 1. Now if we want to write the second equation, so here you see that coefficient of x and y are 1 and minus 1. You just do the matrix multiplication, you see 1 into x minus 1 into y, that is the left hand side part of the equation, and that is equal to what? That is 4. So this is basically the matrix formulation of this set of equations. This matrix, this coefficient matrix, if we call this matrix as A, and this variable containing column matrix, as you can see, if we call this as a generalized matrix X, this X matrix is basically what? It contains the variables X and Y in this case. Okay. So this is X matrix, and here you can see this is what is the non-homogeneous part of the equation, which is in the right hand side. So this B matrix is again a column matrix, again a column matrix, as you can see, 1 and 4. So this is what is the formulation. Now, why we have formed it like that? So first of all, before going to the solution, we have to check that whether there is unique solution exist or not, or whether at all any solution exists or not for that equation. So to do that, technique is that you find out, as you can see here, A matrix, the B matrix is 1, 4, and the X matrix is XY. So it is of the form that Ax equal to B. So this set of linear algebraic equations we can write in this form. So if there is unique solution exist, in that case that X can be easily solved as X is equal to A inverse B. But the question is whether the unique solution exists or not, that we have to judge. For this simple situation, if we plot it, you can easily understand there is unique solution exist. But it is not all the time so simple that you will be able to plot and you will be able to identify whether unique solution is there or not, because there may be 1 lakh number of equations are there, 1 lakh variables are present. So for that, some generalized rule is very important to analyze the set of equations. So To do that, you see the technique is that you have to find out the rank of the matrix, coefficient matrix. Okay. So first thing is that you find out the rank of the coefficient matrix. And remember, this coefficient matrix must be a square matrix. Okay. That means number of row and number of column are same. So that is what is the order of that square matrix. Now see, in this example, the order of the coefficient matrix is clearly 2 because 2 rows and 2 column is there. And if you find out the rank of this matrix A, then that rank will come is again 2. So if you find that the order of the square matrix, which is basically the order of the coefficient matrix, remember coefficient matrix must be a square matrix, is the same as the rank of that coefficient matrix, then there must be unique solution exist. Okay, so this is what you have to remember, that if rank of A is equal to number of rows or column of the square matrix A, then unique solution will exist. So this is the thing that you have to remember. Okay, so let us check how in MATLAB we can easily find out this rank and everything. You need not to code every time because inbuilt function rank is there in the MATLAB, so you can directly do that. So first you create this matrix A. As you can see, we have given the name A underscore 1. This is what is the matrix name that we have given, and its rows and columns we have written as it was there. Coefficient matrix A we have created, non-homogeneous part, that is the P matrix we have created. And to find out the row or the column, what is the size of the matrix, there is one inbuilt function in the MATLAB, that is size. So if you write size and within parentheses if you write the name of the matrix, it will actually give you row and column in these two variable. Okay, so as you can see, if we execute, you will get that the what is the number of rows and columns present in that matrix A underscore 1. So here it is 2. And to find out rank, the inbuilt function is rank, and then within parentheses you give the name of the matrix of which you want to find out the rank, and you put it in a variable name. And here you can see that the rank is 2. So we can see that order of the coefficient matrix A1 and rank of that A underscore 1 is same, so it has unique solution. Now to find out that solution, once you know that the unique solution exists, then unique solution exists means X and Y having a unique solution, single solution. Okay, so then it is very simple that you just do this operation, that you know that if AX is equal to B, then what you can do, you can take A inverse both sides, right? A inverse, and then this quantity will become identity matrix, so X will become A inverse B. Okay, so this will be the solution. Okay, so you can do in that way in MATLAB. For the inverse of any matrix, you can either use INV function, INV within parentheses that particular matrix name, then multiplication B. You see, when you write multiplication, it will do the matrix multiplication, and if you write dot multiplication, then it will do element by element operation. I hope you remember that. So the X you can easily find out using that operation, or commonly what is done, instead of the inverse function, you can use the backslash function, because backslash is almost doing the similar thing, but the algorithm behind the inverse calculation and the backslash calculation is somewhat different. Only the difference will be in terms of the time of execution of that thing. Okay, when actually the time is very important, because computational time sometimes specifically in CFD calculations are too important. Maybe for a single calculation, such a small problem, you do not find it very important, but when we are discretizing a particular domain, we are creating mesh with many number of, you see, in that case this kind of small difference of time actually can reduce you a lot of time. Okay, so these are important things. So backslash is again commonly used instead of inverse, but you definitely use inverse of a star b, or you can use a backslash b. Backslash, you know that front slash is basically representing the division, but backslash is basically used to calculate the inverse, a inverse. It is kind of like that. So here to find out x, you just use a inverse b. Okay, so if you do that, as you can see, you will get the solution of the x variable, which is basically column matrix containing x and y. So 3 and minus 1. Now coming to another equation, set of equations. Here you see that set is x plus 2y is equal to 1 and 2x plus 4y is equal to 4. Okay, now if you plot these two equations in the graph, it is clear that there is no solution, because these two lines are not cut at any point, right? So that is why there is no solution at all. Okay, so this is one example where there is no solution. So how can we, without plotting this thing, we can conclude this kind of thing, whether there is not at all any solution? So for that, again, what you have to do, first of all, you have to create that A matrix and the B matrix as we have done earlier. So in this example, what will be in this example, as you can see here, A matrix is 1 2 2 4 and the B matrix is 1 4, and this is what is the X matrix containing X and Y. Now the steps are what? You have to calculate the rank of A. Definitely you have to calculate the rank and the order. What is the order? Order means number of row or column of the square matrix you calculate. If you find that this rank and the order, they are not same, definitely there is no unique solution. Okay, so that we can conclude, because we know if they are same, then there will be unique solution. So in this example, if you do that, it is clear that the order of the matrix is 2, but if you calculate the rank of this matrix, you will find the rank of this matrix is 1. So it is clear that the rank is not same as the order of the matrix. That is why we can conclude that there is no unique solution. But if there is no unique solution, then if there is no unique solution, that possibility that either there is no solution at all, or there are infinitely large number of solutions. Large number of solutions. Okay, so no unique solution will give rise to two situations, either no solution or infinitely large number of solutions. Okay, so we first of all identified that it is a case of no unique solution, but now we have to identify whether this case is under no solution or infinitely large solution. We know already from the plot that, okay, this is a case of no solution, but what is the criteria? Looking at the matrix, we will be able to identify that there is no solution or infinitely large solution. So for that, what we have to do is we have to first create the augmented matrix. Okay, so here you can see the first part that we have just discussed. If you calculate the order of the matrix, you will find that is 2, and if you calculate the rank of the matrix, you will find that the rank of the matrix is 1. So they are not same, so there is no unique solution. Okay, so as the rank of A is less than number of rows, So there will be no unique solution. Okay. Now we have to create the augmented matrix. What is the augmented matrix? Augmented matrix means it is the A matrix that you have just observed, that is 1, 2, 2, 4 in this example. This is A matrix. And then with A matrix, you just consider also the B matrix, which is the non-homogeneous part. So you take that part also, 1, 4. And if you consider this as a matrix, this is called the augmented matrix. So an augmented matrix, if we write just simply, this is basically A and separated by B. Okay, that means this matrix, this matrix. This is what is the augmented matrix. Okay. Now we'll find out now the rank of the augmented matrix. Okay, so already we have seen the rank of A, we have seen the order of A. Now we have to find out the rank of the augmented matrix. We have to find out rank of this augmented matrix. Find out the rank. And now you check whether this rank of the augmented matrix is the same as the rank of A or not. Okay. If you find that the rank of the augmented matrix is same as the rank of A, then there are solutions. Definitely no unique solutions means infinitely large number of solutions. But if this rank of augmented matrix is not same as the rank of the coefficient matrix A, then there is no solution. Okay, so now basically you have to compare whether these two rank are same or not. If they are same, infinitely large number of solution exists. If they are not same, no solution exists. Okay, so this is what is the technique. So that has been done actually, as you can see. If you So augmented matrix is created, and if, this is important, the criteria, if rank of the augmented matrix is not is equal to rank of A, remember there is no solution. And if rank of the augmented matrix is equal to rank of A, and at the same time if the order of rank of that is less than the order of the matrix, then infinitely large number of solution exist. Okay, so this is what is the criteria that will separate these two situations. So for this particular example, now let us see what is coming of the rank of the augmented matrix. Simply in a MATLAB, you create the augmented, already A2 we have created, B2 we have created. How to create augmented matrix? Right, augmented 2 is equal to A2 space B2. That will automatically create the augmented matrix. And then you find out the rank of augmented matrix, and you see the rank of the augmented matrix is 2, whereas rank of the coefficient matrix was 1. So these two are not same. Since these two are not same, so no solution exists in this example. Okay. In case 3, we have taken another set of equations, and if you plot, you will see that both the straight line will actually coincide one over the other, because they are basically the same equation written. So if you just simply do the same thing, first you check what is the rank. Rank is 1, so which is less than the order of the matrix, so no unique solution exists. Then you check the rank of the augmented matrix, and you observe that the rank of the augmented matrix is also 1, same as the rank of the coefficient matrix, which means the solution exists, and definitely multiple solution exist because no unique solution already we have seen. Okay, so this is what is the technique by which we can identify the nature of the system of linear equations. Okay. Now, let us take one example, and there are different methods by which you can solve equations, set of linear algebraic equations. There are direct methods, there are iterative methods. So one of the very popular one is the Gauss elimination method. Basically, the whole method algorithm is first Gauss elimination, then back substitution. and finally you will get the solution. So let us first understand how the algorithm works and then we'll code it. Okay, so the technique is very simple, or the algorithm is that first of all you see these are the equations. Okay, let us take these three variables are there. This is what is the equation, and you can understand that what is the A. What is the A matrix here? A matrix is clearly 1, 1, 1. You see the coefficient of x1, x2, and x3. Then 2, 1, 3, and then 3, 4, minus 2. This is what is the A matrix. Then X matrix, that is a column matrix, x1, x2, x3. Okay, and the B matrix is 4, again column matrix 4, 7, 9. I hope that part is clear. If we, and then we can write the whole thing as simply Ax equal to B. Okay, so now we want to solve this equation. So to do that, and how we can create the augmented matrix, one, the A matrix will be created and the B matrix will be created. We'll simply write augmented matrix is equal to, you see, A space B, that's all. Okay, or you can write A comma B, it's all the same. You will get the augmented matrix. So augmented matrix is basically what? Augmented matrix is nothing but one extra column will be there, and that will contain 4, 7, 9. That's all. This is what is the augmented matrix, where this part is A and this part is B. I hope this part is clear. Okay, now what is the Gauss elimination algorithm? First, let us try to understand, and then we'll see how we'll be able to solve it. So this part is very important. So give your full attention, please. This is like row 1. This is row 2. This is like row 3. If you see the matrix, you will understand. This is row 1 of the A matrix. And okay, so if we'll always do everything with the augmented matrix. So what is in the augmented matrix is 4, 7, 9. The basic idea is that first of all we'll try to make it, this particular thing, as a upper triangular matrix. This part will try to convert it into upper triangular matrix. So what is the meaning of upper triangular matrix? That means the matrix will take of this form where only this part having some values, whereas everything else in the other side of the diagonal, all values are 0. This is what is called the upper triangular. And lower triangular means where here it will be all non-zero values may be there, but here everything will be 0. That is lower triangular. So let us convert it into upper triangular matrix. So how to convert it into upper triangular matrix? There may be different ways we can do that. But what we are doing, just observe. The technique is, since these are 1, so it will create some problem. Let me write it some other values so that you can understand it better. Then we'll convert it into 1. So let us say this is 7, 8, 4, like that, 3, whatever maybe. So what we want, so this is row 1, you can understand, this is row 1, this is row 1, this is row 2, this is row 3, this is column 1, this is column 2, this is column 3, and this is column 4. This part is basically the coefficient matrix A, that is circled, and this part is basically B. The whole thing is the augmented matrix. Okay. So what we are going to do, we have to make everything here is equal to 0. That means which quantities we want to make 0? If we want to make this part, that means this A part, into upper triangular, then which quantities we have to make 0? then we have to make this quantity, and this quantity we have to make 0, because this is what is the diagonal, and these quantities may be whatever be the value, but we have to make these quantities as 0, because these are in the lower part of the matrix. Upper triangular matrix we have to convert. Okay, I hope you can understand that why we want upper triangular matrix, because it is very simple. If you have been given that x3 is equal to 5, 2x2 plus some 3x3 is equal to 7, and say 4 x1 plus 7x2 plus 6x3 is equal to some value, whatever that may be. I'm just giving you one example to understand. See, the coefficient matrix is in the form of a upper triangular. Here you see the three values are there, then 0, 2, 3, and here 0, 0, 3. So coefficient matrix is upper triangular. Advantage is what? You can easily find out x1, x2, x3 without much calculation, because x3 is directly 5. And once you know x3, if you put the value of x3, you will get x2. And once you know x2, x3, you put the values of x2, x3, you will get x1. So this is what is the idea, that once you can create the upper triangular matrix, simply by the back substitution, you can easily find out x1, x2, x3. So that is what is the reason that we want to make it upper triangular. So in a Gauss elimination method, what we actually do, we use algorithm by which, in this algorithm, we create upper triangular matrix. So let us see that how can we do that. So here in this example, whatever with the value, say 2, 3, 4, I have just written it 7. You will understand why I have written it 7, so that you can understand it better. We have to make it 0. So the technique is, how can we make it 0? You consider this particular element, all the diagonal elements one by one will take as the pivot element. Okay, so first of all we'll take this quantity as pivot element. That means, suppose this 7, though in the original problem it is 1, I am just considering this value is other than 1, so that it will be easier to understand. So let us take this value is 7. Okay, so let us take this problem is like 7x2, 8x3, and 3x3 is equal to 4, like that. So we are taking the diagonal value as the pivot element. So first of all, we are taking pivot element is which value? 1, 1. What is 1, 1? That means first row, first column. That means this value. And this value is basically 7. We are taking this quantity as the pivot element. So this A11 is the pivot element. Okay, that row 2 is equal to row 2 minus 2 divided by 7 into 7. Try to understand this thing clearly. So what we are actually doing, we are trying to make this quantity 0. Okay, so that is why whatever is there in the row 2, that we are subtracting from row 2 minus what? This 2 by 7 is actually what? 2 is what? 2 is basically this value. That what we want to make 0. That value is 2. Divided by 7. What is the 7? 7 is this pivot value, pivot element, that is 7. And what we are multiplying? Multiplying is that particular row. So what is that row? That row is row 1. Okay, so basically what we are doing, that R2, the second row, is equal to second row minus 2 by 7. Why 2 by 7? Because we want this first element surely to be 0. That is why 2 by 7. Divided by 7 will make this as 1. And then you multiply by 2. Then it will make this quantity as 2. Then you subtract R2 minus it. That means it will become 2. So 2 minus 2, the first quantity will become 0. Okay, similarly, what will be this term then? So this term will be 1, because that is in the element, minus 2 by 7 into that quantity here, which is 8 in the row 1. So that will give you some value, and that will be the new value here in the R2 prime, if R2 prime is the new row. Okay, so this is the technique. In this way, this quantity is to be modified. In this way, this quantity also is to be modified. Okay, so in the whole augment matrix, all the rows will be changed in this way. And then the same thing you have to do with the third row also. But remember, now what we are doing, we are considering this 7 as the pivot element. 7 as the pivot element. Okay, so this is what is the idea. And in this way, what we are going to do, so for the last row, what you are going to do, R3 prime will become R3 minus this value, this 3 by 7. Understood? Why 3 by 7? Into R1. Because this 3 by 7, if you multiply with R1, it will convert the first quantity as 3. So it will become 3 minus 3 and it will become 0. Okay. So here what we are multiplying here, if we call this quantity as alpha, what we are multiplying with R1, if we call this quantity as alpha, tell me what is actually this alpha. This alpha is basically in the denominator, it is basically the pivot element. You see the 7, 7. So denominator, it is the pivot element. In the first, when we are considering the pivot element as 1, 1, so it is basically the pivot element. And in the numerator, it is the particular element that we want to make 0. The value of those elements that we want to make 0 in that particular row. Okay, so for the second row, what is the value of alpha? For the second row, what is the value of alpha? That is this value. What is for the third row? What is the value of alpha? That is 3. Okay, that means it is basically A 2 1. For the third row, alpha is A 3 1. Okay, if you do this calculation, then after this calculation, what will become? These quantities will become 0. These first two quantities will become. Then we'll go to the second set of calculation, where we'll now consider the second diagonal value as the pivot element, and do the same thing for the lower rows, which are lower to that value. Here, this is the pivot element, and we have done operations below one row. That means 2 and 3. When you will consider this as the diagonal element, as the pivot element, then we will operate on last row. And when we will take this as the pivot element, there will be no operation, because there is no row below it. That's all. Okay, so in this way, what will be able to convert, if we take this element as the pivot element, then this 2 term will become 0. When you will take this as the pivot element, this term will become 0. Okay, so in this way, it will become a upper triangular matrix. So let us see how this thing has been implemented for this simple example. So actually, why I avoided this 1, 1, 1, because already it is 1. So as if what you have to do, you have to divide by 1, then you have to multiply it by 2 for the second row, this alpha value. But since it is already 1, as if you may think that only multiplying by 2 will be sufficient. But if it is some other value, then that has to be divided. That is very important to understand, because we have to generalize it ultimately, na? Okay. So let us try to understand now how we are going to for this case. Let us consider here that what is the alpha. So alpha, consider first A11 as the pivot element. You can understand what is A11. A11 is the first diagonal element, A11. And you observe that augmented 2 1 divided by augmented 1 1, because you can understand that augmented 1 1 is nothing but a11, which is the pivot element. So that is there in the denominator, and at the numerator, what is the value? Initially it is taken as 2 1. That means this value. If you see this particular matrix, so this is basically 1 1 and 2 1 is basically this value. Augmented 2 1 is basically this value, that divided by augmented 1 1. Augmented 1 1, this is basically the pivot element. Okay, so this is alpha value for the when you are considering 1 1 as the pivot element and you are operating on the row 2. Okay, and then you operate on row 2. What operation you are going to do? You know that we want to make this operation, that R2 will become what? R2 minus alpha R1. So alpha you have already defined. So augmented R2 is augmented 2 comma colon. 2 comma colon means what? Augmented matrix 2 comma colon. That means second row, and only colon means all the columns. Okay, so all the columns of the second row. So that will be what? That will be now replaced by augmented 2 colon, what was previously, minus alpha that you have already defined, multiplied by augmented 1 colon, which is basically the first row, all the columns. Okay, so in this operation, basically in this line, basically this particular operation has been written. Next, you have to operate on the third row. For the third row, the alpha value will change. Why alpha value will change? Because in the third row, you have to multiply by 3 to make it 0. Okay, so you see that now the alpha value, the same alpha now we have replaced by augmented 3 1 divided by augmented 1 1. Augmented 1 1 is pivot value, that will be in the denominator. The numerator for the third row operation now has been changed. But and again the same row operation has been written exactly. Okay. So in this way, if you do this calculation, and as you can see here, after this calculation, you will get this particular result. You see, as you can see that now these two values become 0 in this operation, where we have considered the first value as the pivot element. Now we will go to the second set of operations, where we will consider now this value as the pivot element. Now if you do this value, if you consider this value as the pivot element, then what will be your alpha? First of all, what will be your alpha? So your alpha will be which one? Your alpha will be, in the denominator it will be the pivot value, that is augmented 2 2. In the numerator it will be what you want to make 0. You want to make this quantity as 0, so augmented 3 2. You see that this particular element is basically in the third row, second column, 3 2. So this is what is your alpha. And what will be the operation? Your operation will be augmented 3, third row, all the column, because when you consider this as the pivot element, the row operations will be of which are below that particular row. So in the third row, the operation will be there, an augmented matrix of the third row minus alpha into in the second row, whatever be the values are there. So that operation. So if you do that, finally you see you will reach to this particular situation of the matrix. As you can see, now it has become upper triangular, because now these three quantities are 0 and it has become upper triangular. Now it looks like exactly as if minus 4x3 is equal to this, minus 1x2 plus x3 is equal to this, in that way. So by simple back substitution now we can find out x1, x2, x3. So this is basically the Gauss elimination. So we have eliminated the lower values into 0 in the from the diagonals, and then for the solution finally we have to do the back substitution. So if you do the back substitution, you see that what will be x3? X3 is simple, that augmented 3 4. Augmented 3 4 means basically this value, which is the non-homogeneous part on the other side, that is -4, divided by augmented 3 3. Okay, that means this value, because equation form is basically like this, na, -4x3 is equal to -4. It is basically of this form, na. Always try to remember this part is like the new a, okay, and this part is the new b, and everywhere it is multiplied with x and it is forming that b, na. So x3 you can easily find out. So x3 is known to you. Then you have to find out x2. So how can you find out x2? For x2 it will be augmented to 4, because now what, here this is corresponding to x2, na. So -1 into x2 plus x3 is equal to some value. Okay, so how can x3 is already known, so how can you find out x2? You see that this value is what, augmented to 4. That means in the second row in the fourth column, augmented to 4, minus this value, minus what, this one. What is this one? That is augmented to 3 into x3. Augmented to 3, that means this value, augmented to 3, second row, third column, corresponding to x3. So you see augmented to 3 into x3. So basically that into x3, and then divided by whatever is this coefficient, that is augmented to 2 in the diagonal, augmented to 2 divided by -1, that will become x2. So in this way now x2 you can easily find out. Then what will be x1? Exactly similar extension you have to do in x1. So in x1 it will be what is there here, that you have to write first, that is augmented 1 4 minus what, minus what, observe carefully, 1 1 1 x1 x2 x3 is equal to other values are there. I am just considering the first equation. Observe the first equation. Okay, so this is basically the form 1 1 1 x1 x2 x3 is equal to 4. It is now in this form. Already you know what is x2 and what is x3. Okay, so these values are basically known. You do not know what is x1. So how will you find out x1? So to find out x1, the technique is, you see that x1 into this coefficient, again because of 1 some problem is coming, basically 1 into x1. Okay, then that you want to write, how you are going to write it? Try to observe first. Whatever is there in the augmented matrix, that is augmented 1 4 minus something, that is clear. So this part minus something. So 4 minus something we want to write. What is that minus something that we want to write? Observe clearly that we want to write whatever minus is nothing but this quantity. These are the two values, these two values. Okay, that means corresponding to 1 2 and 1 3. Okay, 1 2, a12 and a13. So here it is 1 and 1. Okay, so this is basically 1 2 and 1 3 and x2 x3. So this you have to basically subtract. If you just do this matrix multiplication, you see it is nothing but 1 into x2 minus 1 into x3. So this part you observe carefully, this part is actually the matrix multiplication of these two and the remaining x, that means x2 x3. Okay, I hope that part is clear, because this kind of formulation is important, because when number of equations are more, it is not that individually you will be able to write this kind of a thing. Na? In that case, you have to make it generalize, and that is why this kind of understanding is important. Okay, so now once this has been done, you can easily find out the solution. So as you can see, this has been actually done. How we have defined x3 is this, x2 is this, x1 is this, and if you write what is x, you will get x1, x2, x3. Okay, so this is what is the solution for this one. Now if we want to generalize this code, then first of all, you know that you have to define A, B and the augmented matrix. Then the first step is that you have to find out what is the order of the matrix. So M or N, M and N will respectively contain the row and the column of the size A. And the Gauss elimination, you have to remember that there are 3 number of rows or 3 number of columns. So I initially, you observe, I will go from 1 to n minus 1. I will go for 1 to n minus 1. Okay. That means in our case, when there were third order matrix that was there in the coefficient matrix, because there were 3 variable, it will going to do calculation for 1 to 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1 is what? 2. That means for the 2 operations it is going to do. So I is like 1 and 2. Okay, n minus 1. Because all the operations that considering the pivot element, you know that the operations will be of the lower rows. Okay, so if there are 3 values with respect to the third pivot element, you see there is no rows, so n minus 1 is coming, that is why. Okay, only for the 1 and 2 when you are considering I, then only there will be some calculations. Okay, so these things you have to understand, that why it is n minus 1. Then you see that for j is equal to I plus 1 to n. So this j is equal to I plus 1 to n. It is basically for the different rows corresponding to that pivot element. That means, first of all, let us consider I is equal to 1. That means we are considering the first pivot element. And when we are considering this first pivot element, maybe this is the first pivot element. When we are considering for the first pivot element, that means I is equal to 1. This not this one. Basically, I is equal to 1 means it is the first pivot element. Then we will come to the second pivot element, and there will be no other pivot element required because there is no further rows bottom. So I is equal to 1. This is the case, first pivot element. And then for that, how many calculations will be there? For that, row 2 and row 3 calculation will be there. Okay. And when this will be there, only row 3 calculation will be there. Okay. So for I is equal to 1, j will start from where? See, when I is equal to 1, then j will start from I plus 1. That means when it is 1, then j will start from row number 2. And it will go up to n number of rows. When I is equal to 2, where from j will start? J will start from 2 plus 1. Because j will start from third row, just below that. And it will go up to n number of rows. When I is equal to this, there is no further rows. That is why this kind of calculations is not possible. And that is why it has been restricted to this. So I plus 1 to n. J will go from I plus 1 to n. Okay. Now for a particular row. So now let us consider now j is equal to, say, j is equal to 2. So when I is equal to 1, j is equal to 2 is the first value. That means the first row, that means this second row calculation started. That means this second row calculation started. So in the second row calculation, what will be the value of alpha? You know that alpha will be augmented to 1. That value you want to make 0 divided by the pivot value II. Clear? 2, 1 is this value divided by this, and augmented that particular row j comma all the columns. That means the second row, initially j is 2, that row will be converted to previous value of that row minus alpha into which row, which one is considered as the pivot element, that row. The I is the pivot element, so ith row multiplied by augmented I. Then it is the second loop. J will become now 3. When j will become 3, you see that alpha is now going to change. It will be 3 comma 2. 3 comma 1. Okay, that means now this value you want to make 0. That is why this is in the numerator, and that divided by that pivot element, and it will do the calculation for the whole row. Then after this operation, what will happen? Corresponding to 1, these 2 will become 0. Then this operation is over. Then it will come out of this loop and now increment I again. Now I will become 2. And for I is equal to 2, again j will start from I plus 1, from 3 to 3. That means for only one calculation for the third row. And that it is going to do exactly in a similar way. So this is what is the general way of writing the whole Gauss elimination algorithm only in 3 lines. I hope you have understood. So this is what is the whole Gauss elimination method. And now coming to the back substitution, once that has been done, now we have to do the back substitution. And you see in the back substitution, we'll start from I is equal to n to 1 with a negative increment, negative 1 increment. Okay, because you know we'll start from the last value to gradually the first value. First x3 we have calculated, then x2 we have calculated, then x1. So it will start from I is equal to 3, then 2, then 1, like that. So n2 with a minus 1 increment to 1. So what will be the value of xi in general? You see it will be augmented in is observed. Now it has been written in a most general way. The augmented matrix is there. This is the A part, and this is what is the B part. The whole thing is the augmented matrix. So first it is taking the last value, which is there in the other side of the equality as if. So augmented I comma end. I comma end means it will take the last column. I comma end. It will take the last column. I comma end minus this minus what? Augmented I comma I plus 1 to n. Except that value, you have to consider all the remaining values. Okay, will start. It is like that. So let us consider this is x3, and you have this value is some b3. Okay, here maybe actually it is of this form, na? A2 x2 plus say a3 x3 is equal to some b2. Okay, so then here it is a1 x1. Sorry, make it prime, make it double prime. A3 double prime x3 is equal to say b1. Let us take, we have converted by Gauss elimination in this kind of a form, and then we are actually finding out what will be the value. The technique is we'll start from the last value so that we get the other values. So it will start from x3 first, and then x2, then x1. Okay, so but the general technique is what I just told you earlier, that if you want to find out x1, the technique is x1 will be equal to what? X1 will be equal to, this x1 will be equal to b1 minus. So b1 minus, that means what is there in the last column that you have to take first, then you put the subtraction sign. You see that what is there in the last column, that is taken first, then the subtraction sign, and then it is basically multiplying, it is matrix multiplication of something. What matrix multiplication it is doing? It is doing matrix multiplication of, if you calculate 1, then there will be two term here, x2, x3. If you take it x2, then there will be only one term, and that is x3. Okay, like that way. If it is x4, if there are 4, then it will be and if you want to find out x1, then x2, x3, x4 will be there. Okay, so here you see that multiplication is xi plus 1 to n. So which one you want to find out? From the next up to n, all the values will be there here. So this particular thing is nothing but this kind of a column matrix, that is xi plus 1, xi plus 2, like that up to xn. And what you want to find out here? Xi, basically you want, when you are finding out xi, then basically this will be multiplied with some matrix. What is that matrix? That matrix is this quantity. That means all the corresponding values there. That means A2 double prime, A3 double prime, corresponding to that, those values, augmented I, comma, I plus 1 to n. Okay, so that part you have to subtract, and that is true for even for the 3, 2, 1, for all the columns. This is true. Maybe for the third column there will be no such values maybe existing. Okay, maybe this part is not at all there in for the third column, because third column there is no other quantities from I plus 1 to n. In that case, that is that will be only this divided by this. That is why b3 by a3. Maybe b3 minus something is not there in case of the third part, because I plus 1 will become 4 and there is nothing called 4. That is why this part is not going to contribute. But in a generalized form, definitely we can write in this way so that it is satisfying for all the cases. But you have to start calculation from the 3 first, because if you do not know 3, then these quantities will not be known and the calculation will not be possible. So you have to start from 3 first and then 2, then 1. Then everything on the right hand side will be known quantities. Everything will be known quantities in that case. Okay. So this is how this xi is to be calculated. And if you do this calculation, you will get exactly the same result. Though we have solved that only 3 by, that means for the 3 variables, that means the 3 equations, but in a generalized form, and the same thing you can apply for n number of equations, there will be no issue. Okay, let me stop here. In the next lecture, we'll discuss on TDMA algorithm and iterative method of solution. Okay, thank you.